Oh, you want to play psycho killer? Can I be the helpless victim?
Cross your eyes and scream, man. Scream for your life.
So today I have writer-director LaRae Wilson for her feature debut of Meet. The film follows a pregnant woman seeking safety in a halfway house, only to discover a sinister price for the kindness she receives. Tell me a little bit about your career. I saw, looking at your IMDb, this is your feature debut. You did some short films, and a lot of your credits have to do with costume design. What made you want to be in the director's seat?
Well, I directed a project before this. It was my first baby. It was called Fire. Well, it is called Fire, and it's a series. So this is the first time I've directed a feature film. But even when I directed Fire, I wrote it, I directed, I produced it, and now I'm going to re-edit it into making it a feature film. But this is Meat came along once I had finished Fire, I was already slated to do a few things in my head. You know, you kind of like figure out what you're going to do next. Like, oh, this is the thing I want to do next. And then for some reason, just this story came in my mind, and it hadn't even had a script. It had nothing. I was just like, I want to do this movie. I don't know why this idea came. So in the midst of already having stuff done, I said, forget that, put that to the side, and I'm just going to write this thing. And I wrote this thing, and within probably about 6 months of writing it, we were shooting it. And within 6 months of shooting it, I think we finished shooting it in June or July, and it started streaming on Tubi in February. So it just went really quick, and I just feel like it was just a purposeful story. So I've never had anything just like jump the gun like that. Like in my spirit, I was like, oh my God, I got to make this thing. Yeah. So that's kind of what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a very fast, like, pre-production, post-production. I don't think I've heard of any, because that sounds like it took maybe a little bit over a year then?
It did. It took, I would say, at the most 13 months.
Yeah.
Because and I taught myself a lot from doing my other directing and everything else. Like, you know, my IMDb is really long. I've been in several different departments. So that's how I was able to do it. When you are on all the sides of it, you're kind of able to just go really fast because you don't really have to ask for permission, or you don't have to, you know, I don't have to see what you like it. I like it because I like it. Who likes it? I like it. Oh, it's still me who's making it. I like it.
Yeah, no, you already have the network, and you're making it because it was a passion project. So
definitely,
you're not waiting to be greenlit. Yourself.
Yep.
So, yeah, and I know that you have, so your star is Tiffany Toney, and I've talked to her before, and she's amazing. I love her.
Oh my God. I just on a whim, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this movie. It's called Meat. It's got this kind of like really interesting plot twist, and it's not, you know, a lot of people haven't played this type of role before. Mm-hmm. So I called a friend of mine who is a casting director and an agent. And I said, hey, I got this thing going. And she was like, Tiffany Toney. And I was like, okay. I looked at her reel, and she's kind of known more for action. She's known for being more of a badass, right? Like, you know, guns, toting, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I saw her reel, and I was like, I don't know. But then I saw this 1 second in her reel where she was so vulnerable. And I was like, she could do this. And then from that second, I knew, I was like, okay, she's got the right, she just hasn't been given the opportunity to really shine in this way, you know, because a lot of the times once you do an action thing, you become that action person and they expect you to be that. So anyway, I called her, we had a Zoom meeting, and she was just super sweet, and we hit it off. Our spirits were like kind of aligned, and I can see her vulnerability in the Zoom. And I was like, she can do this. And she did that. She did that. She was really good at it.
Yeah, no, her performance was excellent. And like seeing her with the pregnant belly and everything just added to the vulnerability. And she, I was introduced to her whenever she did her feature debut, Bora.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoyed Bora. I thought it was a great film. Everything that she put into that, you know, she wrote it, directed it, acted in it, everything.
Yeah.
So And she's definitely another powerhouse female in the horror genre. Is horror your genre of choice?
I do a lot. Okay, so if to know me is to know that I'm really, really funny. Like, that's like what everybody, oh my God, you should be a stand-up, you're so funny. And I'm like, okay. So like, even when I do horror, I still try to add a twinge and something of humor, because I really do think that even when you're killing somebody, you may be thinking about something funny. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, it sounds wild, but I think even when people have conversations with themselves, they're not always super serious conversations. So sometimes that dialogue, even in a serious situation, could be a funny dialogue, you know, because that inner monologue, you never know what's going on in somebody's head. But I do love horror. I have always loved, okay, let me take it back. I don't always love horror. I'm still scared of horror. Like, when I see it done well, oh my God, it is this. I can't even say the sounds and all of it is creepy.
Yeah.
But I love creating it, because in my first world of being on film, it's a costume designer. So as a costume designer, we create the world that you have to believe that this happened. So we're doing blood work. We're, you know, helping with makeup and hair, doing, you know, getting the body ready. If it's a horror film, we're doing a lot to prep that to make it believable for the audience. So that's why I really love it, because it takes a special team to be able to make you believe that this is real. And so I love that. And then my first couple of movies were horror and action. So I like blood. I specialize in like making blood, and I love blood. That sounds wild, but I do love, but fire has nothing to do with the other movies and things that I've done have nothing to do with horror. Some of them. Well, social disturbance does. Anyway, who cares? Because I have another movie that I wrote. My first movie that I ever wrote was called Social Disturbance, and it is another horror movie.
Okay. Did you get it made?
Yeah, it's on Tubi right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's called Social Disturbance, and I didn't direct that, but that was my first thing. It was my first foray into writing. And I wrote it during the pandemic. And we filmed it during the pandemic, and it's been out for about 4 or 5 years now on Tubi as well.
Okay, nice. I'll have to check it out. My next question was, what was the initial spark? And it sounds like it was just like something that came to you organically, like you just had the idea. Were there any events that happened around, like maybe in the news or on social media that you saw that sparked it, or it was just like...
That's a great question, because it's coincided very interestingly with some things that are going on in some portions of the news. That there is maybe like a little cannibalism, that there's things that are going on with whatever, right? But that wasn't where I started with it. I didn't start with anything. I started with, I want to make a small movie with my friends that doesn't have a lot of dialogue. So I really wanted it to be more about the action. So I said, well, what action could these few people be doing that is captivating and that they could kind of like ad lib? So at first, when I thought of me, I thought I was just going to give the actors no words, and it was just going to be an action list of things to do, right?
Yeah.
But then I was like, okay, no, I need it to be a little bit more formal. And then I was like, well, what's going to make it even worse for this person? So once I figured out that there has to be like something that's keeping this person in this home, what's going to make it more dangerous? What's going to make it more elevated? She has to be pregnant. So that's what's going to take it to the next thing. So it never was about whatever the story ended up being. It was more about, how do I get this more of a shock value with what's going to be happening to this person?
Yeah.
And then once I got that together, I was like, okay, now we can feed into, let's make this story a full story. Because at first I kind of just had visions of what it was going to be, the actors, the space, you know, what they were going to be doing. She was going to be looking for something, but I didn't know why.
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And then having a pregnant woman it ups the stakes a lot. It makes it
very much so.
She is having to rely on outside sources. And then also with I don't know if like you care about spoilers being in here or not.
Don't just say spoilers. It's fine. No,
Okay.
people are still gonna love the movie, I think.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, she's already coming from a very vulnerable place because she was in a domestic abuse situation. And so we see that a lot. We see these stories of women who are down and out. They come from no support, domestic abuse, and they have to rely on the system to take care of them. So I thought it was very clever how you used those situations to show how vulnerable and dependent she was going to be on this source, making it just extra hard for her to escape.
Definitely. And once I thought of the imagery that I wanted, then you play it back in your head. You're like, okay, this is the imagery I want. Where have I seen this before? And I think about, I live in LA, and so I see homelessness. I see women on the street with their children, with signs. But I rarely see pregnant women. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what that is. You know, I don't know. Is there a place where they're going? What's happening with those people? Mm-hmm. You know, and the fact that we would never know what would happen with a homeless pregnant woman because our society does not seem to really take a big stance on like protecting this vulnerable population.
Yeah.
You know, we don't really have, I mean, I do know personally of a young lady who has been, because once I figured the imagery, then it was like, blah, 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 I'm talking about it to everybody. I'm figuring it out, right? One of the young ladies who was on our crew, I don't want to expose her business, but she had actually been in one of these homes before. Once I told her about this, and she was like, oh my God, I've gone through this. And this is what it looks like. And so then it became more of a commentary on our social awareness. Like, you know, more than just a film. At the beginning, it was images, shock value, and then that turned into storyline. Where have I seen this? How could I help this?
Yeah. I love the social commentary that comes with it and the symbolism that comes with it, because I live in Florida and we have a lot of rehab facilities in Florida. There's a lot of addiction, a lot of homelessness, a lot of just people coming in and out, you know?
Yeah.
But these are all very vulnerable populations. Mm-hmm. And so I've seen a lot of this firsthand. And so I thought you captured that really well, just like the isolation that comes with that as well. And then being kind of invisible. Like people don't care about you when you're in those situations. And we like to talk about, I don't know what your stance is on like pro-choice or pro-life or any of that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But, you know, there is a big conversation to be had, whether you're on either side of the fence, about valuing the life that is put into the world.
Yeah, well, my stance on pro-life and pro-choice is I'm a liberal, period. I believe that people's business is their business. I'm not in your business, but once you are in my world, I care about you, period. So, I mean, whatever you do, I'm not a judgy person. I don't care. None of my business. I'm not God. Why would I even think to even have a judgment on what you're doing over there in Florida? Or what you're doing over here in Texas. I don't give a shit. But I do care about the fact that you're here on the earth and you don't have a protection. You don't have anything. It's the most vulnerable point of your life is you have another person inside of you. You know, so however you got there, if you're somebody who's homeless and they don't think that you should have a baby because, oh my God, you're homeless and what are you doing having sex? What are you doing being a human? What are you doing making mistakes? Mm-hmm. Or what are you doing as a domestic violent victim, still having sex with the person who abused you, you know, or whatever people think about whatever, you know, it's always the woman's fault why she has the baby. Yeah. You know, and then we don't even care. You know, oh, well, it's her fault, or whatever. Oh, I haven't seen her in a month. Nobody even knows. So my thoughts on that were just, you know, because again, you and I are both females. We're both minorities. We're both, you know, very much could be in that situation at any moment. Yeah. And be stepped over. Because I've seen people out here in LA just, we walk over them. I mean, full stop, walk over them. My right leg over his hip. onto the next sidewalk. You know, it's just so.
And especially when you're bringing children into that, it just makes it so much worse. And we need more resources. I mean, that could be a whole other podcast episode. But yeah, there's just so much with that. I'm the same. Like, whatever you choose, it's your body, your choice. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I just think if we are going to be forcing people to have babies that they are not financially able to support, we need to be providing more, and we're not.
Because certain places you can't even have an abortion now.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like I'm not, you know, like I said, you and I could go, girl, we can go hard on this, but
yeah,
to me, it's just like, so if you're not going to help her there, and you're not going to help her then, when are you going to help her? But you're making her make a decision. You're making her make the decision you want her to make. And it's not even your judgment. Like, why would you, at the end of the day, if you are all like, and I'm a Christian, I wear the cross for real, you know, because I'm Christ, because I love the Lord. But I also know the rules. You're not just supposed to be this judgy person. You're not God. So the whole thing is we're just supposed to love each other and take care of each other.
Yeah.
And teach each other. And so that's what I believe. I don't have the fanatical nutbag approach to it. Like, why would I? Mm-hmm. You know, I've been in my own situations.
So the title Meet, how did you come to that title?
Again, I'm all at this point of where I was in the development, it was still shock value. I wanted to get eyes on it. I was like, okay, once I decided what it was, then I was like, let's just go with the rawest thing I can think of. And again, that being a commodity as well. It's kind of, so it sets the tone for a couple of different things. It's a commodity and it's raw. And so I was like, all right, that hits everything I need. Mm-hmm. And it's one word. It's powerful. You're not going to forget it.
Very true. Yeah. So this film seems to explore the idea of kindness with a cost. So, and we've kind of already been talking about this, about people who are vulnerable, but not everyone who is welcoming you in has the best of intentions for you. They're not always there to actually give you security. Sometimes they are benefiting. Like, we have a system that does benefit off of helping others can monetize their kindness. And so was that part of your message as well?
So I didn't want to be extra political, but I didn't want to stay away from being political as well. So my thinking of this is we live in a system right now where we benefit off of housing people in jails. We benefit certain groups make a lot of money off of what looks to be protection for people, but they really don't protect. Yeah. You know, it's really just a jail. It's really just a place where we can put you, that you're there, check you off a list, and then I'm going to get a check.
Yeah.
And then if nobody's watching, I can abuse you.
Yeah.
And who's watching these things? Who's watching these places, again, where people don't care about people? Yeah. So we could go into, like, right now in our political world, we have all of these different, they're going to call them concentration camps. Let's just call them what they are, right?
I mean, they are concentration camps. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got them, right? And so
they call them ICE facilities, but
exactly, yeah, they call them ICE, but we know what it is. Yeah, we know that it's just and those things that are not watched or are watched but aren't watched with a loving eye they will hurt everybody, because that's what people like to do. People like power. People like to express their power. People want more. If not watched by people who care, bad things happen all the time, and we're seeing it.
Yeah.
We're seeing it in real life right now. And I can't even believe when some of my friends were like, girl, when they putting meat out? Because, girl, what you talking about is right. It's happening. It's happening. And I was like, when y'all putting it out?
Yeah. No, it is. It's very timely and, you know, unintentionally, but a horrible thing that it is relevant to today. And, you know, even when it comes to prisons, a regular jail system is privatized, and it, you know, then we also have the foster care system. People are benefiting off of taking it, you know, being a foster home, and they don't really care about I mean, there's just so many facets to this, and It's a structure that's been ruled by people that don't have the best of intentions for the people that are within it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's to keep you down. And the few that get out, you know what I do love? I do know a few amazing foster children who have grown up to be probably the world's most amazing actresses. I mean, these are close people to me. And I just think because of what they had to go through. So they would not let their light be dimmed by their situation. So those people who made it out literally have probably like some of the best stories and some of the most talented people. But I've seen, and I do have some friends who do this the right way. I do have some friends that have foster homes and they do love their children. So not every situation is like that. But again, if not done out of love and it's done for the money, then that's what ends up happening is that it wasn't love to begin with. You don't care. And that's the whole thing about what we should be doing with each other is we should be caring.
Yeah. Sure. Very true. So there's a long history of horror being used, the female body being used as a site for horror. How did you approach that in a way that feels intentional and subversive? Like, just giving birth is body horror.
Yeah.
Having something grow inside of you is body.
Yeah.
And so it just adds to, is there anything more to it that we haven't discussed already?
We could take it a little different because like some of my actresses have never been pregnant. So like that was something new for both of them. There's Tia Parchment, who was on Rhythm and Flow, and she plays Adrian. So I want to make sure, and she's never been pregnant, and Tiffany Tony's never been pregnant. So Tiffany had I think it's a 30-pound belly on. So that's why she moves the way she moves in it, because I didn't want her to have just this light belly where she was able to pop up, you know. So I wanted you to feel that pain of the back pain. And to me, that's kind of body horror right there. You know, it's like all of those pains that you're in. We have her having an exam where she's getting a bodily exam, you know. So that is something that is kind of traumatic for a lot of people. There's so many things in this movie where it's traumatic. We don't really show the childbirth, but we do have a birth scene. These things are just kind of shocking, and it lets you know like what's going on. Like a lot of people have no idea when you have a baby what it really feels like. They have no idea that you have to go get these tests. They have no idea, you know. So all of that being in the film was important to me because I really wanted to. Because I'm a mom, I have 3 sons, so I really wanted to show what it is like. You know, when you hear that grunt and it sounds like she's pooping, that's what it sounds like. It's not a pretty sound. You know, being pregnant and having childbirth isn't pretty. But the ladies did a great job. The actresses did amazing. Tiffany and Tia did. They really went with it really well. Making the umbilical cord. So that was like an interesting thing for me because I was like, how far am I going to go with this? What do I want them to see? You know, how to fall, you know, what is it? There was just a lot of realism that I wanted to put in there that I think transferred as realism, even though it is a movie. I don't know. It was just all of it was all about the baby. It was all about the stomach. It was all about that. And then there's scenes where we see what actually happens.
Yeah.
And that's all a hot mess. But I love it. I love the movie. It sounds so horrible, but I love the movie. It sounds terrible, but it's such a good movie.
I mean, it's horror. It's a horror thriller.
Yeah.
And so it's supposed to be terrible, but also amazing at the same time. I did like the way that both women carried themselves. Like you would really think that they're pregnant. Like they really knew how to move, how it feels. So it's a good thing that you gave them the weighted belly because that is so uncomfortable being pregnant. I only have one kid, but being pregnant and all the tests and stuff, it's just so uncomfortable. It's so you're poked, you're prodded at. And
at a certain age, you're even worse because I had my last child when I was 40. And it was, I mean, you have to go through all these genetic tests and you have to take all this blood. You have to see what this is. Then you have to wait and then you have to be nervous about what the results are going to be. And then, you know, so there's a part in there where we know that she really hasn't been to the doctor.
Yeah.
You know, we know that she hasn't had any health care because there's a scene in there where she says, oh my God, you know, she's like, well, I didn't know, you know.
Yeah.
So we know that she hasn't been seen probably since she's been pregnant.
Yeah. And that's the reality for a lot of women that, you know, we don't have universal health care and they keep cutting benefits and things like that.
Exactly.
So the belly, whenever, like at the end, I think the most shocking scene to me was probably when Tiffany Tony her belly was getting kicked.
Yeah.
That's definitely going to be, I think, the most shocking for a lot of people because it is such a vulnerable position to be in. You worry about the baby, worry about the mom. I mean, she's so far along. She's about to have the baby where it's like she's not going to miscarry, but it's like, what could happen to the baby? Like, what?
Yeah.
You know, we don't really know. I don't know what that does to a baby.
Yeah. Again, the whole idea for me is that this place she's in is, I mean, obviously it's cold blooded. And so we see in that moment, because again, even though we know what's happening, we never see this person do that.
Yeah.
When at the end of it, when it's the person that looks like you, that sounds like you, that, you know, and they're the ones doing it as well because they're all getting a cut of it. It's so powerful to see that at the end.
Yeah.
You know. And it is that, and that when I watch that with other people, they're like, oh, ugh. They're just all like, I can't believe Pearl. And I'm just like, we did it, y'all.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense that, you know, people are always so confused on why there are Black and Hispanic ICE agents.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why, because, you know, there can be a benefit and having like that proximity to power and whiteness people think it's going to shield them.
They think it's going to provide for them. They think it's going to take them out of whatever situation that they're in. But then there's going to get some kind of acceptance, you know, and then at the end of the day, you see that they end up flipping it on you anyway. So it's kind of like, So you may as well just, you know, don't kill anybody.
Were there any moments where you wanted the audience to feel complicit?
And what do you mean? In on it, like they were in on it?
Yeah.
No, I always wanted the audience to feel helpless.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted them to feel helpless. I wanted them to watch this and just feel like they couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
You know.
I definitely had that feeling of helplessness throughout the film. And, you know, the villains are very clearly the villains. You never really have any sympathy for them, which I think is good because they're not supposed to be sympathetic.
Exactly. I think Pearl is a tricky character because I think you have a love for Pearl, though. At some point, I think at the beginning there, even though you know that there's something, I think there's until you get to the very end, then you really see how deep and dark the thing is. But I feel like there's a moment where we do like Pearl, where we feel like we don't really understand what's happening, you know?
Yeah. There's definitely like a moment of being, especially in the beginning, of being hopeful.
Yeah.
You hope that she's going to do the right thing. You hope that she's really there to support the ladies. It kind of starts out where they're positive, and then then it goes to them, oh no, they're this sinister, they're these sinister characters. They do not have the best intentions for the people that are there. And so they start out being likable. And then by the end, you don't have sympathy for them. But you don't really have a reason to have sympathy for them in the beginning. You're just like, they're likable in the beginning.
Yeah, you don't really have anything. You're kind of like, okay, what's this about? Yeah. But I did want to set it out with very different kind of like shots and stuff. So my idea for like even like the visuals of it were very much where you're like, what's happening? You know, you got these very close, tight images. And so I didn't really want people, because I wanted you to feel a little bit uncomfortable throughout the whole movie. Yeah, I didn't want anybody to feel like they were bad people watching it. You know what? I just really, my favorite parts though I love the beginning. I just love it because I feel like we just that just the beginning, like 15 minutes are just so hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's almost like Willy Wonka Chocolate Factory. Oh my God, I got the ticket.
Yeah.
And then, oh Jesus, I got the ticket.
Yeah.
Not that ticket.
In the chocolate pool. Like, being sucked up.
It's terrible. Yeah, but we gotta laugh about it, you know.
Yeah. There isn't a lot of dialogue.
Yeah.
It's a lot of body language, a lot of tension builds up with the atmosphere and music. It's very much a slow burn in that way.
Mm-hmm.
How did you balance the tension with the slow burn and like the storytelling, all of that?
Well, that's where the music comes into play, because the intentionality of it was that I didn't want there to be a lot of dialogue. Mm-hmm. I wanted it to be a lot of the looks, the up close, there's a lot of filmmakers in my past that I've looked at that I just really admire just the ability to tell a story without even having the words. So like when I come from the world of costume, we always say the movie should be good even if the volume's down. So for me, dialogue is secondary. Visuals are first. So obviously if I'm costumes, I'm on the visual team. So like, and I production design and I do all these other things, but it's always visual. So I feel like making really bold choices with the visuals helps. And then secondary is going to be that auditory portion. But because there's not a lot of dialogue, I definitely wanted the songs to drive the scenes. So I wanted where there wasn't the dialogue, I really wanted you to still be super engaged, but use a whole different part of your body. So now we're using these ears to hear what's going on, even though we're visually not seeing her say anything. We're still getting and emoting that feeling of hopelessness or positivity, whatever it is, through these songs. So that was kind of where, and then I wanted well-placed songs, you know, so I was like, okay, I want you to feel this here, and then I want you to kind of be confused by this. I want you to know there's a lot of greed in this movie, a lot of greed in this thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of really where I went with it. I intentionally didn't. My script was 62 pages. I mean, it was a script, obviously, but it was and I even cut out a lot of the dialogue, even in the edit, because I edited it as well. I edited it, colored it, did all that. So like, I took out a lot of I took a lot of the dialogue out as well.
I think that especially when it came to building up tension and just the unease that was happening, and you know, you don't need a lot of dialogue for that. That's more situational, and I think that those situations really told the story where it needed to be told.
And I also get tired of a movie just dumbing it down. Like, well, and then I went to the back room and they're just saying words to say something on camera. Like, it isn't, when you really go to your house, you don't come in and talk to nobody and then go to the bathroom and talk to it. You know, you just come in and go, and you may not say anything. So that's the realism, is that you may, because she's by herself. Yeah. So who is she talking to? Yeah. So that to me, like, in a lot of movies, they won't just let that happen. They won't just let you be by yourself and just quiet in a space, you know. So I really wanted to use the opposite. Yeah. I wanted it to be a lot of, she's just by herself. You know?
Yeah, the isolation. And it adds to the vulnerability of the entire situation as well.
And then I even wanted the rooms to be very stark. So like, that's intentional as well, that the one side of the house is very white. And then when we go into Pearl's little section of the house, we see that it's decorated and it's whatever. So she gives very minimal to these people. So that was kind of another choice that I wanted to make, that was, besides not having a lot of dialogue, that side over there, the visual, again, stark white.
No, that's very clever with the set design too, to like emphasize the lack of nurturing.
Yeah.
And all of that.
And isn't that odd? You're supposed to be at a place where there's children. So like, that would be a big sign to me. Where are the kids? This is very...
There is like a moment in the movie where you're like, okay, well, where are the other people? And it kind of gets you thinking. It kind of builds up that unease of, okay, what's happening to these people? Because obviously there were people there at one point, and, you know, different characters are being referenced, and you know that people are having babies, and that seems like for that house, you would expect to see more babies and stuff like that. You would expect to see more pregnant women, and so it's like, oh, okay, well, where are they? When it came to, could you talk a little bit about the dynamics between the protagonist and the people running the halfway house? Like, they were very supportive of her in the beginning, and then she starts kind of getting these inklings that something was happening.
Yeah.
She starts getting suspicious of them, and they they realize she's getting suspicious, and so they kind of put the hammer down. Like, they get more stern with her. They get more, and we see that in real life. Like, when people are starting to get called out, people are being suspicious, they're noticing their true intentions. They, instead of acting with kindness, those people act with aggression.
Yeah. Well, and they definitely, in this situation, they don't want to be found out about what's going on. And she's definitely aware that something's amiss. You know, but again, she's been through so much that she's still, I believe, the way I envision, is that she's still just hopeful. Like, come on, I'm just tripping. You know, this is not that. I got a nice safe bed here. It's cool. You know, I can look out the window. I've got a swimming pool. You know, this is, I'm just going to be here for a couple more months. So I don't feel like at the beginning, even though there's these signs, because a lot of people have said, well, why didn't she just leave? Again, people say that to a lot of people. Where's she going to go? Yeah. So if she doesn't know exactly what's happening, she's going to give up this good bed and this good food for the unknown, which she's already been out. So she knows what that is. So that's why she doesn't leave until she makes the decision to try to figure out everything that's happening. And then she's forced to figure it out, you know. So the progression of their relationship, it's kind of like on an axis. It's like the more she knows, the worse they treat her. At the beginning, because again, you'll see one of my favorite lines is, she's like, thank you. We really need you here. You know, kind of like she puts it on so much, Pearl does, for, you know, Lauren. And we understand now that they really, you know, when you see the whole thing, even when you play it back, you're like, man, we really need you. It's so wild. I love it. And the actor, she's such a church lady. Rhonda Bankston, the lady who plays Pearl, she's a church lady. And for her to play that role, it's just so amazing.
No, she did great with it. Very much like a domineering, like auntie almost.
Yeah. I didn't want it to make it about race either. I wanted to make it about money. Because that's why I have, you know, Madison is there. That's why the protagonist and the antagonist, the main ones are black. You know, we have a separate layer of villains, you know, but it's, I didn't want everybody to focus in on the black, the white thing. I just wanted them to focus in on the money thing. So that's kind of where greed and green will blind anybody. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, there are, you know, a lot of times when it comes to films and things like that, we like to shy away from making marginalized groups the villains because there's already so much hardship when it comes to being part of these groups. But it's like, but there are bad people everywhere. It affects everyone.
Yeah, there's no group that has, you know, the monopoly on being the kindest. Not one. Yeah. We all have our whatever, you know. But again, money definitely will influence people in a way that nothing else will, you know. So if you feel that, like, and it's money and power, because there's a lot of it in there where Pearl is talking about power as well. She wants to get this power. She wants to get in this room. She wants to meet these people. You know, she wants to just go to the next level of whatever it is. That's all this. That's what this is. That's more what this movie is about. It's about greed and vulnerability. And when the two collide, they can collide in a way that's crazy, you know. And I when you talked about the foster system, that I hadn't even put those two together, but that is definitely the mirror of what I think this could be.
Yeah.
So I've heard the horror stories, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there are, like you said, there are a lot of really great people out there.
Oh,
And
definitely.
I know people who work for the foster care system and they're like guardian ad litem,
Amazing.
like they work for, they do like social workers and they really want to keep families together and they want.
We have a system where they're overworked, they're understaffed, and so people can fall through the cracks. You and I both used to be school teachers.
Yeah.
So like you've seen it, you have 30 or 40, 50 kids that you have to like take care of. There's going to be some paperwork, some backlog, some, oh, I forgot to do this and oh, I'll do it tomorrow type thing. There's always a lot of, that's the whole goal of to keep you in that system is to not provide enough service. Is to provide one crazy lady who's got to take care of 100 people.
So you can't question too much or like, no, it's horrible. When it came to lighting and color, how did you use those things to reinforce the themes?
My good friend Kendall Christensen, who has been my DP on the last 2 projects, is amazing. I tell him what I want. I want this to look more like a piece of art than more like a movie. I want you to go in. I want odd angles. I want things where the depth perception is challenged. I want super tights. So for me, making those uncomfortable angles. So like going down, like when you're panning up to somebody, you make them taller than what they really are. So when I'm, we're going tight on the belly, we're doing all these different things so you could be more immersed in the story. Pearl's room, when we finally see Pearl in her element with Carl in that one room, we can feel that warmth. So there's like a different coloring that's in that room. So most of the movie is done with like a blue undertone. It's a very cool blue. And so that's just kind of showing you that coolness, that coldness. And then we get to this one section. I wanted to make it different. Then when we get to the restaurant, we have that in red. That's just a warning. It was more, it just made me, I really just wanted that red. I had always pictured that scene red, and so I just feel like it draws people more in as well. And then Kendall is just a master. So Kendall is a one-man band. So being able to put a movie out in 13 months, you have to shoot very fast as well. So Kendall, who does all the jobs, he's the DP, he's the grip, the gaffer by himself. He will light the house. He'll light the whole day. And I'm like, what? He's like, don't even worry about it. We're on to the next thing. You already lit the bathroom, been lit. The bathroom was lit when we got here. So, and he knows what we want, so, and then just the color, the saturation is really great. So I love the visuals. Again, my whole idea is to be able to turn the volume down and it still be a good movie. You still want to watch it.
And the basement scenes, there's a lot of blue there. It's very eerie, like you can tell it's like damp, probably smells like mildew down there.
Yeah. I got the generator going in the back, and it's kind of, the downstairs was just, that was a lot to try to find a place too in movie making that gave that feel. So I found this commercial kitchen where they allowed us to do all that stuff. And then I had to find a couple other places to make it one big kind of place. Yeah. And I feel like it did that. I feel like I was able to kind of put those places together, and it's just a place you don't want to go to, yeah. There's a movie called They Clone Tyrone, and They Clone Tyrone, there was a normal home in a suburban neighborhood that had a underneath, but you could tell that the facility underneath was way bigger than the home. Way bigger than the home. So I kind of love that idea as well, that there's this going on top while this is going on the bottom. And it's just one floor difference, like.
And there is the symbolism for like the frontward facing Pearl being really nice and welcoming. And then, underneath, if you just go into the basement, you see, these are the true intentions. The baby that you had, Lauren, goes into the basement and sees the other lady. Was that a real baby?
Well, okay, so there's 2 babies. I just cut it so quick because Madison's baby's in there too. So the first baby she looks at is a Caucasian baby. But I cut really quick, and then she sees the first baby. And no, they're not. No. They're not real babies. No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I was like, that is a quiet baby. Is that baby alive?
Well, they're supposed to be in a coma.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I did it. And so the other thing is I had to figure out, pick and choose my battles on how far I was going to go with the visuals. So there's a generator that's right by the babies. And we kind of just see the generator. And we see that the babies aren't moving. They are being bloodlet as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so we don't really know that, but that's really what's happening to them. So there's tubes and stuff, but we just decided to not really do all of that and leave a little bit to you try to figure out what's happening to the babies, you know.
No, it was very clear with the women, but yeah, I wasn't 100% sure what was happening with the baby. I was like, is the baby also? I think so, but
yeah. And then when she was sorry, because that's why she saw those two, and she leaves and she's sorry because she can't do anything about them because they're already gone. Yeah. That's why she's sorry. Because if I mean, I feel like Lauren being pregnant would have taken those babies.
Yeah.
You know, she would have taken them out, right?
Yeah.
So they were already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. So I'm kind of getting closer to the end of the questions. The ending, whenever she's getting her food and they're like, they gave her meat and she's like, no meat. It was a really strong way to end the movie.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, she's so traumatized.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so I'm going to assume at this point she is now vegan or vegetarian.
Girl, in this movie, yes. Now check it out. So I love that you brought that last scene up. Because again, I wanted it to be, there was a way I wanted to end it. And I just, because of budgetary constraints and whatever, I was like, I can't end it that way. I can't end it this way. And it doesn't feel right to end it this way. So then I was like, how can we end this? And then I was like, I just need you to say this. And she was like, Tiffany, this was the hardest scene for Tiffany. Because Tiffany doesn't, in the movie, she doesn't show too much emotion. She shows courageousness and braveness, but she doesn't show a lot of emotion until like in that one scene where she's fighting, whatever, she shows some emotion. But typically it's kind of like she's just figuring it out. She's helpful. And the actual actress was like, hey, this is going to be hard for me because I don't like to go there in my own personal acting. I don't feel comfortable. So I was like, well, I just, let's try it, so I think this is a good way to end it,
Yeah.
And, it is one of my most favorite scenes in the movie. It makes me cry almost every time. I'm just like, cause I can just feel it. Like she just relives it right there. It's just like crazy. She probably like in her head is just like this flip of like, oh my God, I just went through this, blah, blah, blah. But it's such an emotional moment to me in the movie that I just think it's the perfect way to end it.
Yeah.
And she's like, and I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, no, I thought it was very clever to end that way. Yeah.
Yeah, don't drag it out. Just, this is it. This is the end. And then it also leaves, it's so funny because even though my son, my 9-year-old, he watched us make this movie because he's always on set, whatever. Mm-hmm. He does that, but he can do that scene. I said no meat. And so my little 9-year-old will do that scene with her. He loves to watch the movie too, which is crazy, but he knows it's our job. Yeah. But yeah.
He's seen how the magic is made.
Yeah. And he loves that scene. So
that's funny. It's great.
Yeah.
What made Tubi the right home for this film?
I just knew Tubi was going to be the one for this film. Tubi's the one I love. So I love my distribution partners. So my distribution partners are Homestead Entertainment. They are amazing. They primarily work on Tubi. They just are very loving and they really fight for the projects. I can go like almost straight to Tubi. Other streaming platforms are very critical of everything. Yeah. Not that I don't think my project is amazing. So I think my project is amazing and can stand being on these other platforms. Tubi is quicker. They will pick up a project and you can be streaming within like 60 days. Oh. So that for me, and I don't know if it's just because of my partnership with my team, could be that I have a great team or, that's what I think it is. So, and I just love Tubi. I love the fact that it's free. Mm-hmm. I feel like in this economy, even paying for anything is hard.
Yeah.
So I mean, heck, right? It was $6.50 for gas in California. $6.50 for gas. So like to pay $5.95 for something that is, no, nobody's going to do that right now. I love Tubi, and Tubi has a cult following as well, and that's what I was hoping for this film, is that it would gain traction and be something that people were talking about later. You know, I feel like it's a small film with a big message.
Yeah, there's so much corruption within Hollywood right now, and these mergers and everything that's going on. It feels almost like Tubi is that one last leg of hope of like not being corrupt.
Yeah. Not being corrupt and being for the actual people. Who knows how long they're going to stay like that. And I hope for a long time, where you just have an option of having free entertainment. You just have to watch commercials. Yeah. But that's really why I want to keep populating that platform, because that platform is also good for filmmakers. If you're not familiar, filmmakers don't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
We don't make a lot of money, so you put a lot of money into something, but you don't see that return, because for it to be on Amazon or Netflix, you have to get like 1 million views to get like $1, because because of the percentage of what's called a CPM. So your CPMs may be like $4.54 per 100,000 views. So for 100,000 people watching, you may get $4.60 something cents. So Tubi's different. Tubi's much more indie filmmaker positive when it comes to cash back in your pocket as well. Yeah. So I recommend Tubi for if anybody, and I don't know why Tubi gets a bad rap, because it's got some ghetto stuff on there, but who cares? Don't watch the ghetto stuff. Watch what you want to watch.
Yeah.
Or watch the ghetto stuff and just eat popcorn and watch it and laugh. Who cares?
Yeah. Exactly. What do you hope the audience takes away from Meet after watching it?
Man, so that's changed a lot from me. So like the first time I got any feedback from somebody made me understand how they saw it. So now I kind of have a different, what my wants are a little bit different. I wanted people to be entertained, and I wanted people to feel something. But now I know exactly what I want them to feel. This is what I've heard people say when they watch the movie. It's so scary because it could be true. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I want people to be aware now of, what could possibly happen if things aren't checked.
Yeah.
And things aren't looked at. I want people to analyze their own hearts. Like, how do you feel about this population? Yeah. Before, I was thinking more, I really want people to like the movie, and I really want people to be entertained and like the music and just, be shocked, blah, blah, blah. But now I'm like, oh, no. That's not what I want. What I want people, and people are really, they come to me like, girl, that was, me and my boyfriend was talking about that one. Or somebody will respond to something like, girl, that's a deep one. That movie is deep. And I'm like, ooh, I'm at a deep movie. Oh my God, So that's I want them to think a little bit more than just the normal, man, that was a good movie. I want them to think about it a couple of days later too,
What kind of stories are you interested in telling next?
Oh man. So to know me is to know that I write female-driven stories where our female lead is flawed. All of my stories. So obviously that's going to continue, because every story that I have has that component. Now, all the ladies are very strong, they're funny, but they have lived a life, and it's a true, authentic life. And so that's why they're able to be funny, because they live in that world. So I do have several things. So one is called The Manor. It's a vampire movie where, again, she who is a vampire, she protects anybody who comes to the manor. So if you're at the manor, which is a hotel, it's like a bed and breakfast, but it's like a castle. If anybody is treating you wrong while you're at the manor, she kills them. So she's a protector. Then I have some funny things, Lola and Mags, where it's kind of like Cagney and Lacey, the bad boys for senior citizens. There's two older women, and they're just hilarious. Still very funny. Again, we have those flawed females, but they're very funny. So even the manor is hilarious. It's so funny. But again, we have that horror. So I do love horror comedy. I love those kind of mixes where you can have two feelings at the same time. So I think it's funny. So, I mean, I love powerful women. I love to tell stories about powerful women and how they became who they are. Because normally we become powerful through some kind of trauma.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah, no, this is the truth. But normally where it's through the male gaze and they're just traumatizing us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the interview.
Yes, of course. Thank you for meeting with me. And yeah, I'm sure we'll keep in touch.